month to AMP.
My faith in destiny is all I need to prevail.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
7.5
Will, can you hear that?
downloads.
Barely.
This
Are we
is
on the air?
Change Manifesto. This is the Zeitgeist Manifesto. This manifesto shoots from the hip.
That's not our
takes
intro.
no prisoners. Apart
Is he online with
from
us?
Tony
No.
Blair. Britain bites back.
Is there something playing right now?
You are listening to
Yeah,
a
there's
special
something playing, but I don't
broadcast of
hear.
the Truth Frequency.
London calling. This is London. London calling. Come in, London.
Calling Zeitgeist.
Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Here we go.
That doesn't sound like our. Oh, I hear two different music. There's two things playing at the same time.
Okay, well, this says that we're on the air. I don't really know if we are. If anybody out there, one of you guys in the chat room, if you're able to hear us, would you let me know, please? Oh, Lord.
Go ahead, Tom, take it away. I'm gonna check here to see if we're on air and just keep talking.
Okay, well, if you guys can hear us, you're listening to Tom and Ramon on the 100th Monkey Radio, and we're trying to get this going. We seem to have a little bit of a technical snafu to start off with. We can hear you. Yay. Okay, I guess we are live, Ramon. So, welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon. Chris, if you're listening, I could not hear any audio as we were coming in here through the Skype link. So, anyways, we'll get that all sorted out. And I want to welcome everybody for our first just Tom and Ramon chatting with you all. And we'll let you get to know a little bit about me and Ramon.
I guess the first thing we should let them know, Tom, is that as we always, for those of us who knows us from our show, we always say this: we're not professionals, so we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're muddling along. We're just like everybody else out there, and we just decided to have a voice and get ourselves out there and expose ourselves to the world. And actually, I think I'll do a little bit of that exposure here a little bit later, Ramon. Maybe.
Please don't expose too much of yourself.
Yeah.
It's
well,
illegal in some countries.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. The kind of exposure that I'm going to be giving, I don't know. I think it might be. I don't know. It could be illegal universally. I think. I don't know. Anyways. Let's see. Where do we want to go? Ramon.
Well, we got a break coming up in 50 seconds. So.
Yeah, okay. Well, guys, if you're familiar with us, then you know where our website's at. If not, the100thmonkeyradio.com. And we've got a ton of shows over there, and we're really happy to be here with Chris and Cherie over here on Truth Frequency. And we're going to make a run for it here and see what we can do for helping to do our part in finding that 100th monkey, raising the consciousness of this planet, and just helping out, doing what we can, trying to find a little bit of truth out there in the chaos that we find ourselves right now. And as we near in on that magical December 21st date, who knows? I don't know. Are we going to create something?
All right, time. Break time. Turn off your video.
7.5 million downloads. This is the We Are Change Manifesto. This is the Zeitgeist Manifesto. This manifesto shoots from the hip. It takes no prisoners. Apart from Tony Blair. Britain bites back. You are listening to a special broadcast of the Truth Frequency.
London calling. This is London. London calling. Come in, London.
Calling Zeitgeist. Calling We Are Change. Calling Greenpeace. And calling the worldwide audience of the Truth Frequency. Broadcasting worldwide on the Oracle Broadcasting Network, on the Polygraph Radio Network, coast to coast in the USA and Canada with our AM and FM affiliates.
You are listening to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon, raising the consciousness of the planet one monkey at a time.
Kings and queens and royal gents and popes and priests and presidents, gurus and shamanic healers, pharmacological dealers.
I think I've always been in the woo-woo world because I've always been considered a little weird amongst my peers and stuff like that, and in my neighborhood. But I think one of the first things that I remember was, I was like around 2 or 3 years old, and I remember looking at my baby bottle, and I could see my body, and my hand was going through it. And the funny thing is that's all I remember from that time. And then later on, now the more I think about it, I always saw like this little blue orb. But my nephew, who's 17 years younger than me, also saw the same thing. So I guess that's just a family thing. And in my family, my dad was very open with it. We're talking about these things. He always talk about aliens. He's had like many apparitions appear to him, and he's seen grays before. And my grandmother has some really wild stories. So as far as the woo-woo stuff, it's always been around. But I think the point, there was a direction where I really got fled, and of course getting into it, and that's when I was around 16. I got arrested, and then I just saw a really dark path that I was going down, and so I started reading a lot of books on astral projections and chakras, and started meditating consistently.
So was there someone around you that kind of exposed you to that sort of stuff, or what brought that kind of stuff to your mind? What made you think, hey, I wonder about astral projection?
Well, my friend Alex, we used to go to this bookstore called Golden Child when we were like 15, 16, and going down to the Village in New York City was always like the thing to do. So we would go down there and we would go to the Golden Child, and then we would just see all these weird books, and we'll pick up books here and there, and not really read them. But once that happened, I started really reading those books that we had picked up.
Hey, Ramon, cut your video off, bud.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice. Yeah, so that really started opening me up more and more. But I can't forget about Miss Mintz when I was in the 4th grade, and she wasn't our teacher, but she would come in right before lunch, and we would do like this meditation where it was like a visual meditation where she'll tell us like, imagine you're on a beach, the sunshine's coming in, you're floating into the clouds, and then she would bring us to the third eye, and she would call it the blue pearl. And that was like my first taste of it. And then so later on in life, when I was 16, 17, when I started meditating more, then I had something like some kind of foundation that she had left for me. So that was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, school systems aren't like that today, are they?
No, that wasn't a school system. That was something she just like would sneak in and do. So, after that, then later, when I was like around, I still did my meditation all the time, and I would try to find out information, and I was very into like Egyptian things. But I think what started really opening me up, and the reason why I met you, I won't go that far into it. I'll let us say it together. But I was shown a video of the Haitian video UFO over Haiti, and it was fake, but that opened me up to start looking at more things on UFOs, and then I discovered Coast to Coast and Art Bell during that time, and that's when I went to ESETI, and I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah. So that was a really good video, that Haitian video. The guys that did that, they need a job in Hollywood. They did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they definitely did. So Tom, let's see.
So me, oh man. Well, I was your general, normal, third-dimensional work, party, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all the way up until my mid-20s. And weird shit started happening. I just started having those things out of the corner of my eyes, and the voices in my head. They weren't really voices, but they were, voices. And shit was telling me to do something. It was issues that I had to get taken care of that really prompted this. Relationship issues that I had that were outstanding, that needed to be dealt with. And this stuff just kept coming through, and my world was just getting totally surreal. I mean, synchronicity was everywhere for me back in those days. I mean, it is now still too, but those days was crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I very, very much questioned my own sanity quite a few times during those years. Anyways, I finally kind of broke and got that one issue taken care of, and at least out on the table. But that didn't stop the voices, and that didn't stop the strange things happening. And during this period, I'd met somebody who was a mystic. That's the best way to describe her, I suppose. And she exposed me to the tarot and gave me actually a Mexican deck of tarot cards. Said, try these out, see if you like playing with these or using them, and if you like them, you can get your own. And so I played around with the tarot, and it was immediately, I said, oh, Connie, I love these things. These are awesome. They are amazing. They are amazing because, they were telling me stuff that it was just way too coincidental to be coincidence. So I go over to her house on a Friday. I'll just share this one short story here. Went over to her house on a Friday and said, Connie, I want to go get my own deck. And we took off and went down to this place this is in Fontana, California. And went down to this place called the Golden Unicorn. And we walked into this place at about 10 minutes to 5, and they were closing at 5. And I walked up to the counter, and it was there. My deck was there. It was like, that's my deck. And I got that inner prompting. Everything just told me, there it is. That's your deck. And right next to it was this cherry wood box that was sitting right next to it. that was perfect perfect size for the deck. And I said, that's my box. So I bought these two things, and as I'm checking out, there's a guy standing at the door with the keys, ready to lock the door up and shut down the shop. So, this place was packed full of stuff, and I wanted to browse around, but I was like, okay, no worries, I'll come back tomorrow. I took off, and I told Connie, I'll come by and pick you up around noon. We'll go back down there. And so the next morning, we go over there, get there at noon. I drive in the parking lot. And this place still has the big billboard up on top, the Golden Unicorn billboard up on top, but all the windows are boarded up. And I just could not believe it. All the windows were boarded up. I walked up to the front of this place and peeked through the door, and the place was completely empty. It had been gutted overnight. And that one right there just made me take a couple steps back and go, whoa, something really strange is going on here in my life. So from there on, I've been walking in that surrealistic world every day. From that's just the very beginning of that's before I got smacked in the head with a 2x4 too.
Did you feel like maybe you had time travel maybe to a week before?
No, I don't. I don't at all. I feel like I felt like that place just disappeared overnight. It may not have really been open the day I went in there and it was open.
It's funny. Or maybe you walked into a parallel version of it.
Exactly. Who knows how I got in there and how it all happened, because when we went there the next day, this was like, 16 or 18 hours later, 19 hours later, there's no way somebody was going to get that place and board up all the windows overnight. So anyways.
Yeah, and you've done that kind of work. That takes time.
Yeah. So that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as my wake up process. I ended up getting busted by Johnny Law, and had gotten sentenced to go to jail. And then as soon as I'd gotten busted, we decided, well, it's time to move out of town. So we moved from San Bernardino down to Palm Springs. And I was a carpenter at the time, building some beautiful custom houses. And I was on we'd been in Palm Springs for a couple of months, and still the bizarreness was just amazing. The synchronicities, and at this stage my mind was just going, oh, this is some weird shit. I wasn't really asking any good questions. But the promptings were there. Trust me, the promptings were there daily, on multiple times daily, gave me the opportunity to ask the questions. And so I was on the other side of Palm Springs building a house, and I was actually cutting and stacking a roof at the time. And I looked across town, and there was a big cloud of smoke billowing up into the sky. And I mentioned to a couple of the guys that were working with me, I said, guys, somebody's house is burning down over there. Well, about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, my wife shows up, tears streaming down her face. Sure enough, you guys know the story. It's my house. Well, I get there and I walk around this place, and I'm just shocked. I'm in total shock. It burned to the ground. I lost absolutely everything. I kneeled in the center of the house in the burned out rubble, and just tears streaming down my face. And that was the day I asked, what the hell is going on? And I started looking. I started seeking, because it was not normal third dimensional events that had happened. Nowhere near third dimensional events that had happened. And from there, boy, oh my God, what a ride.
Some people would call that the dark night of the soul, or the other word for it would be the calcination.
Yeah, let's say that was the beginning of the dark night of the soul, because I think I spent several years there. There's about a 5-year period there a year prior to my house burning down and 4 years after that. I went through a very intense school of hard knocks. And, like I said, I'd been sentenced to go to jail. And our judicial system now is quite interesting. I'd been sentenced to go to jail for 5 months. And they gave me an appointment 2 months down the road to show up to jail. It's like, okay, well, here I am. I could have, skipped state, gone up north, whatever, and just not done that. Never gone back to California. But here I was, good Joe Q citizen. I showed up for my appointment and went to, what the hell was it called? St. Helens. St. Helens Jail, which is San Bernardino County Jail in St. Helens, California. Boy, interesting place. And, I'm going to really expose myself here. Like I said, I was going to do some exposing. At this time, when I turned myself into jail, I'd read through the Bible twice, cover to cover. And I was putting 110% faith into that book. And you guys should all know what happens when you put faith into something. You start manifesting. When you believe something, you start manifesting. Well, I was having events right out of the Bible happening in my life, metaphorically happening in my life around me. I was during the time that I was reading the book of Daniel the first time. Guy moved in right across. I was living in an apartment. Guy moved in right across the street, right across the apartment block from me, by the name of Daniel. And the day he moved in, he was like, met me, and it was like, I'm Daniel, and I just walked out of my apartment, set the Bible down, and walked out of my apartment, and here's Daniel. Stuff like that was constantly happening out of that book. And I started asking those questions. Who am I? Why is all this happening to me? And the answers I was getting and the messages I was getting was, you are my son. I love you. You are my son. And I was like, what are you talking about? So it started going down that road. And first thing I knew, I was sure and positive and had 100% faith in my heart that I was the Son of God, the returned Son of God. Now, I added that returned part in there myself. Looking back retrospectively, I added that part in myself. But I went down that Messiah complex road. And when I arrived at jail, I was the full-fledged Jesus Christ returned, came on a cloud. It wasn't a cloud from the sky. It was a clouded mind. So that's how I interpret it.
Let me interrupt you here. We'll take a quick commercial break. You're listening to the 100th Monkey Radio Show with Tom and Ramon. Our website is www.100thmonkeysradio.com.
Up and don't be shy. Excuse yourself and pick up the call. Pick up the call. You gotta pick up the call. Pick up the call.
Ain't no monkey like the 100th Monkey on the 100th Monkey Radio Show. Tom and Ramon on the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
Welcome back to the 100th Monkey, guys, here on the Truth Frequency. Let's see, where the heck was I, Ramon?
Who was that in the background?
Some monkey.
No, I mean, not me. I'm talking about the music.
What music?
Oh God! You didn't listen to the music that was in the background?
That was Perry Mills. Pick up the call.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted.
Is that what you wanted out of me?
Yes, that's it. Okay, so before the break, you have become Jesus,
Right.
And you were heading into jail.
I was Jesus Christ, the one and only, and I was sure of it. There was no doubts. I asked for confirmation daily, multiple times daily, and I was getting confirmation from both what was coming through to me internally and metaphorically reflected out in the world. And I'll break this down later on, how I have interpreted this now in my life, but at this point, I am Jesus Christ, and I'm walking into St. Hell Inn, which I found, that metaphor right there was quite remarkable, and I did note that. I knew I was going into the den of thieves, so to say, to do my good work. Well, it's a minimum. I was in the minimum security section, and they'd put me to work in the laundry. And I was doing the preaching. I was talking to guys. I was telling them about Jesus and about God and about love and how love can change your life and just spreading the word. And I'd been there in about 2 weeks, and I was walking around the track. There was a walking track outside. I was walking around the track with these two other guys and talking about Jesus and about the Bible and about all the things that I'd learned and was sharing with them. And the bell rang to go inside. And the last thing I said to these guys, I said, "Just remember that God loves you." And as soon as I said that, this Mylar heart-shaped balloon with the word love on it dropped out of the sky right in front of these two guys. Now, I mean, what do I do with that? It's like there's more confirmation for me, sinking me deeper into this complex where I was sure, I was positive that I was Jesus Christ. So we go inside, and the next day I go to work at the laundry, and through that night, I had been getting messages, internal messages telling me, "You need to leave. Your work is done here. You need to leave. Your work is done here." So I was like, well, I'm in jail. How do I leave? So I'm in there working in the laundry, and I'm working on a sewing machine. I'm sowing in my seeds. and I keep getting these messages, and I'm like arguing with the spirit that's telling me to get up and leave. Finally, I said, "Okay, God, I'm going to put 100% faith in you. I'm going to follow exactly what you're telling me to do." I stood up and I walked out of the laundry, and right at the door there, right by the door is the desk where the guard was sitting. This guy didn't even look up at me, did not even look up. And I walked out, and at this point, there's no prisoners that are supposed to be out in the grounds anywhere. Everybody's supposed to be inside. I walk out, and immediately I start going, "Oh, shit, I just walked out of the laundry, and I'm not supposed to do that." And I get the instant energy hit and the reassurance, "Keep walking. I'm with you, my son." And so I keep walking, and I start walking towards the main gate of the prison. And I walk by this administration building, and this lady comes walking out of there, and she turns on the sidewalk, and walks right past me, and she has a patch over one eye. And the message I got is that they can't see you. And my mind's starting to race at this point. And I'm starting to question, and I keep getting this energetic hit and these messages that are saying, "I'm with you, my son. Keep going. I'm with you, my son." And so I keep walking, and I go, "Okay, I'm putting all my faith in you, to take me to where you want me to go. So I walk up to the main gate of the jail, and in a jail, there's always two gates for vehicles to drive on, and only one gate is ever open at the same time. It's prison policy. As I'm walking up to the gate, there was a van that was coming into the prison, and somehow or another, the guards in the guard shack decided they were going to open both gates at the same time. So I walk up. I don't speed up. I don't slow down. I keep a steady pace. And by the way, there's like 30 people standing in line at the gate, at the guard shack, waiting to come in and visit people, I had an audience. So I walk right through both these gates without slowing down, without speeding up, without changing my pace at all. As soon as I got outside the gate, I'm outside of the jail at this point, so I'm an escapee at this point. All that energetic support that I was feeling that was taking me to that point, it was like a vacuum. It was all just removed. It was sucked away from me. And my mind started going. I was, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I walked out of jail. Oh my God, oh my God. And immediately the guard comes running out of the shack. Freeze, all, the cop thing, on the ground, all this stuff. And so he handcuffs me and he takes me into the guard shack in the back room, and they start doing their thing and asking me, what the hell are you doing, and all this stuff. And the guy at the gate asked me, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, I was homesick. I couldn't stand it here. I needed to get out. And, I denied what was really going on. I denied being Jesus Christ, for one, and that God had told me to walk out. So they take me in and put me in an isolation cell. And the next day, the sergeant of the guard, or whoever the hell it was, one of the big dogs there, came in to talk to me, or they brought me out to talk to him, filling out another report. And he asked me why I left and what was going on. And again, I gave the story, I'm homesick. I just had a kid, I miss my family, so I denied a second time what the whole Messiah complex and God telling me what to do, all these things. And I spent a couple more days in the isolation cell, which is like a closet with a concrete slab and a stainless steel toilet. It was really comfortable, really beautiful. And during this time, my mind just, the brain is, the gears are turning, what's going on? What did I do? God, and into prayer, trying to communicate with this spirit that's been communicating quite openly with me up until this point, and not reaching anything. I'm left completely alone. I feel completely alone in this state. And so I think I was in that little isolation cell for 4 days before the San Bernardino County psychologist came to interview me. And I gave the same story again. I was lonesome. I missed my wife and kids, and I had to get out, all that stuff. So I denied it a third time, that God was telling me to walk out of the prison. And they put me in isolation block. Now, an isolation block, if you picture 8 cells, 4 in a row that are back to back with open bars on one side. That's basically the way the blocks were laid out. And as soon as they put me into that cell, and the guard walked off, there was a guy a couple cells down from me that crowed, went, his nickname was Rooster, by the way, and hit me like a ton of bricks. It took about, I don't know, I probably an hour before I really understood that. I was like, oh my God, I denied 3 times before the rooster crowed. And if any of you are familiar with the Bible, then you will know that story. So there again, I have more confirmation, more more confirmation that this Bible thing is manifesting in my world, and so. But I'm having questions. I'm having doubts about it at this stage. So I read through the Bible again. Now I'm out in maximum security with a red wristband on my wrist because I'm an escape risk. And I am in with all what they told me the first day I went into this block is that you're in with the high powers now. There's no Indians in here. We're all chiefs. And I think they were all spiritual beings personally because the things I learned the next 9.5 months in that, or 9.25 months in that block was quite amazing. But eventually I made it through that and I learned a lot. I had my first spontaneous out-of-body experience while in maximum security. The Messiah complex started slipping away as things progressed in there, and I started to understand what was really happening and what had really happened in my life and how things had manifested in the world around me. And I started to put together the fact that the power that each and every one of us has to manifest events in our lives, in the world around us, is tremendous. We don't have a clue how powerful we are. We don't know. And those who do know, well, I'll leave that alone right now. But the power of manifestation is equal to your faith. That's the best way I can put it. It's equal to your faith. If you have the faith of a mustard seed and you tell that mountain to jump into the sea, it will happen. That's what I'm talking about here. So I found within the Bible itself, there is so much wisdom that I was able to bring with me, and it helped to form who I am right now. I have since that book, although I still open it up from time to time, I feel as if I've grown way, way, way past that. Now, mind you, this was 24 years ago now, when I got out of jail. So I've been on this path for a long time after that experience. And that whole Messiah complex thing, that self-aggrandizement thing, the reason I'm sharing this story, and I shared it in one other place so far, the reason I'm sharing this story is because people have these thoughts. They have these thoughts, and they think that they're crazy, or those thoughts generate such fear within us when dealing with the rest of society. I want other people to know that, hey, you're not the only one that's thought like this. You're not the only one that has had that question. Am I the Son of God? Am I Jesus Christ? Am I Ezekiel? Am I Osiris? Am I Thoth? Am I, Osiris? Oh, I'm getting an interesting echo now. Echo. Oh, I'm getting an interesting echo now.
Why are you getting echo?
Huh? I have no idea why I'm getting echo.
Did you do something different?
No, it was maybe something like that.
Just a reminder, people, as we said before, we're not professionals and we're still figuring things out. So I think the echo stopped. Go ahead, Tom. Continue where you were.
Actually, I
still hear it.
But anyways, let's see. From there, I actually came back up to Washington State from there, and my quest to understand life began in earnest. You would not believe the library that's in those jails, Ramon. Well, maybe you will. You've been in before, haven't you?
Yeah, I didn't go into. I stood in because I was only in for 3 days in the what we call central booking, and that's you go in before you go see the judge. So it's like a small little jail, and then from there I was lucky they let me go from there. So I only spent 3 days.
Yeah. Well, I could not believe the type of books that were in that place. I read all of Carlos Castaneda's stuff. I read one of the first books I read when I got in there was a book called On Religion, which was a college textbook that gave a very objective view of the world religions and their commonalities. That book did a tremendous amount for me. I mean, to be able to see it from that objective perspective was a gift. Looking back on that whole experience, I wouldn't change it for anything because I got so much out of it. I grew so much while I was in there.
There was something.
Hey, Chris, if you happen to be listening, boy, that echo is just freaking.
So, Tom, there's something I've heard people call the dark night of the soul, or the calcination. Like the calcination will come from the alchemy, where you go through a really tough time and you're burning off all the unnecessary things to end up with the pure, what they would say with the pure salt. For the alchemy. So do you feel that that's what you were going through during that time?
It's almost like it was building up. That whole process was building up for a cleansing. I think it was, looking back, ultimately, I think the whole thing was a lesson to teach me about manifestation, about how we create in this world with our consciousness, what faith is all about, what knowing is all about, the difference between belief and knowing. And it's huge. That difference between belief and knowing is huge. So ultimately, I think that was all the major point of what that was designed for. And I'll tell you what, if I set that up before I came into this world, I am one crazy Jose.
Yeah, I'm sure there were a couple red flags went up. It's like, are you sure?
Yeah, I definitely questioned my sanity quite a few times through the years, but I don't know. I love myself now, so it's all good.
It's funny how when you compare your mindset from now to 20 years back, it's just like, it's unbelievable. To me personally, it's unbelievable that it was like, wow, was that really me? It's like, and we always forget that we're, life is a consistent change. The only thing that is stable in life is change. And the funny thing is, we're always looking for stability when it doesn't exist. And I'll give you an example. You woke up this morning, you might have taken a shower, you washed off a bunch of skin follicles, a bunch of hairs fell off. For some of us, a little more than we want to. But you're not the same person. That's not the same skin. And, your organs are consistently changing. Your mind, if you compare it to several years back, is not the same. So there's nothing about you that's the same. Your toenails, nothing. So I don't understand why is it that we are consistently looking for stability when it doesn't change, when it doesn't exist, because the only thing stable is change. The leaves fall off, new ones grow, and it's the cycle. So my whole point of this is that if you know this already, because you can see this in nature consistently, then it's just much easier to ride that wave of change instead of consistently trying to hold things back, because that's when you become stagnant, like water. When water is not running, it becomes stagnant and stinky, and it's not that good. But when you have this fresh stream that's consistently running, you can feel that energy. If you just sit there next to the stream, you're relaxed. But if you're sitting next to a stagnant pool, you know, you're not relaxed. So
Right.
that's the same way I'm looking at life. And damn, it took too long to learn that.
I got rid of my echo, by the way.
Yay!
It was my end.
I knew it. I just
It was
didn't
one of those multiple tabs I had open.
want-
Something
like
automatically
I said,
turned
we're
on.
not professionals.
Yeah.
But you know, that takes be on our next hour. We want to take phone calls. 213-233-3998, and toll free numbers 888-832-2027. Give us a call. Let us know your story, questions, and stuff like that. It's very important to us. But you know, as far as what's going on in our life, it's, you know, there's three things that Tom had mentioned off the air, and that was the three things that we need in order to grow spiritually. And what were they, Tom?
I see them as probably the three biggest challenges that we have to deal with in our lives, not to get rid of or not to throw out or not to fix, so to say, but we have to deal with these three things in our lives, and everyone has to do it to be able to clear the paths for themselves for unimpeded growth. And that's ego, fear, and belief. Now, you know, fear, that's a no-brainer. You know, if you're afraid of taking the next step, you're not going to take the next step. So, and the fears come in a lot of different colors too. And I don't know, they come from some of the strangest places too, also. That just fears you don't even realize that you have, will rear their ugly heads in some of the most awkward moments. But getting rid of that fear opens the door and allows the universe to unfold for you. And I see the same, and I see the same thing in belief, actually. If you, beliefs is a big one. That's a huge topic. The belief structures that we build upon our consciousness as we go through this life, especially before we begin to become conscious of our lives, they're huge, and they're subtle, and they dig in very deep. A lot of times we don't even realize that something that we believe as truth, there's that word, believe as truth, comes back and ends up being something that's blocking us from moving forward. And
you know, the big thing with belief is that in your belief systems, you don't even know what belief systems you have, because I've heard plenty of people say that they don't believe in something, but then in their actions, you see the belief coming out, and they don't even realize it. And
Right.
it's the same with fear. It's like you don't know what you really fear until you're up against it.
Right. I mean, we get these guys that go, "Oh, I'm not afraid of nothing," and that's ego, right?
Yeah, that's the third one.
Yeah, that's the third one. That's ego. The pride, the judgment, and the pride. Those are all ego based, right there. And those are especially in our society today, the way that we're trained in the school system, and we're trained. We're trained quite well to be good little minions and do your job and make sure you catch the 6 o'clock news.
But I think a beginning part for a lot of us was because it's easy to say get rid of this, get rid of that, but how do you do that? And one of the I think the foundation for me personally is always been the meditation, because it's a good way to self-look at things, and it's a good way for things to come up that you didn't even know were there. And we'll be taking a break soon. So when we come back, give us a call. Once again, you're listening to Tom and Ramon on the 100th Monkey Radio on the True Frequency Network, and our website is www.100thmonkeyradio.com. I guess we got another song. I can't remember which one we got coming up, but we'll let you know what that was after the break.
Good morning, at the dome. The time will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly.
Woke up this morning without a warning.
On your way through this hard venture, you will be tested.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
Now I don't care about what you heard while the rumors are flying. Don't believe a word.
Are you the 100th monkey? Will your awareness be the one that tips the scales? You're listening to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon on the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
Already know this, you know where I've been. Best thing, baby, that could ever be. Having you love me. You've got to
Welcome back to the 100th Monkey Radio. Well,
Yeah. And that was Perry Mills, and we had Perry Mills as a guest, so if you go to the website, you can listen in. Really quick, again, the numbers are 213-233-3998. Toll free is 888-832-2027, so make sure you call in. We got 3 minutes and something on this segment. Go ahead, Tom.
yeah, real quick, I don't know if I have enough time to address this, but there's a comment in the chat about the self-sacrifice side of the Messiah complex. And, I don't know exactly what they're fishing for here, but, I kind of saw that whole experience I went through as complete self-sacrifice. I was giving of myself completely and, paying no mind or no heed to the egoic part of my life, the Tom aspect. It was a very, very bizarre time for me when I was in that 100% knowing state. And I stayed in that state for quite a while. There was, several months there that I was full blown. There was no shaking my faith, my knowing of who I was. And, I suppose you can look at what I was taken through and where I ended up. And I know I did a lot of good and helped a few people that were in the maximum security section with that complex that I was under. And I know I definitely impacted those two guys that got that balloon out in minimum security. And boy, their jaws dropped, and they were like, everybody in the jail knew about that immediately. Anyways, as far as that, I don't know. The self-sacrifice part. To what extent are we going? There's that instinctual desire to live, right? So the man animal Tom, that survival instinct is fairly strong, So I don't know how far I would have gone with it, and being while I was in that state. I have no idea. That's all retrospect. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say one of the things I want to address after the break would be manifestations. because there's many ways that we've manifested things, and I'll tell you a quick story. Let me see if I can do it in 30 seconds, which is I live in Japan now, and I always wanted to move to Japan, and I tried 2 times to move here, and I was trying and trying and trying. And when I finally gave up was that I met my wife, and she got really pissed off because we were trying to get her a green card, and she said, let's move to Japan. And that's when I gave it up to kind of to come to Japan. But we'll talk about that after the break. You're listening to the 100th Monkey with Tom and Ramon.
Have you washed your potato? Could you be the one? Can humanity develop unity consciousness for all? Reaching out with body, mind, and spirit, Tom and Ramon invite you to join them on the 100th Monkey Radio on the Truth Frequency Radio Network to explore our changing times and piece together the evolution of our body, mind, and spirit. Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Kings and queens and royal gents and popes and priests and presidents, gurus and shamanic healers, pharmacological dealers.
Welcome back. Oh, wow. So, Ramon, you were telling us about
manifestation. There was something I saw in the chat room right now, which is a big one, which is one
Well, you got to finish your story first.
Okay. So I think I pretty much finished it, but my point is that when I kind of let it go and I said, okay, I'm letting go of this urging to move to Japan, it manifested. And that doesn't mean giving up on it. That just meant that, you put it out to the universe, you did as much as you can, and you let it go. That doesn't mean you sit at home and wait for it to knock on the door. You go out and get it, but you got to know when to kind of just let it do its own thing, manifest. And
those armchair warriors are not going to win the war. You can't. You have to take action. I mean, I'm not calling for somebody to go down and beat the crap out of someone or do something along those lines. But if you want to change something, let's go on the personal scale. You want to change something in your own life. You want to use all the tools that you have available to you, and one of them is spirit and manifestation from the ether, from the other realms, to things to bring about that, create that magic in the world. It takes action.
Yeah. This is part of manifestation, because dealing with old wounds and anger is a huge one, and it's one I'm still dealing with, and it's getting better and better every day. But for example, I don't have the best of relationship with my dad, and I have a lot of anger towards it. And my guides in my dream were consistently slapping that in my face. Like I'll be in a situation where I'm fighting someone or fighting something, and they would say, "Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry?" And I would just be like, "I have not a clue why I'm so angry." So that again goes to what we were saying before. You don't know what you're holding inside because you put it so deep down that you yourself don't know what the root of it is. And doing my quiet meditations, those thoughts that come up of old things, old patterns, or old things that happen, like, oh, that kid, pushed me when I was that's those thoughts that come up. Pay attention to them, because those are the ones you need to deal with. And that's how it comes up in the silence. Those thoughts that you think are menacing sometimes are the ones for me personally, are the ones that are the thoughts you need to pay attention to, because they're the ones that are the key, because you need to address that. If you're still angry about that kid who pushed you in the second grade, well, that's, the beginning of it. And then, something somebody else said, or an argument you had, and it can be something so stupid, but you held on to it.
I call it going fishing for myself, Ramon.
You never took me fishing, Tom.
Well,
sorry.
Anyway, fishing is a personal thing. It's something that no one can do for you. You can't let somebody else go fishing for you, Ramon. You have to do it yourself. So the way, what I mean here is, if I run into an obstacle or block, or something doesn't feel right, I go fishing. I fish for the root cause. What's the source here? And fishing can take a lot of different forms. It can be just thinking about it, just, randomly thinking about it, or just having my eyes open, going, okay, what is the problem? Asking that from a full conscious state, asking that, what's the problem here? Where's the source? And paying attention to the world around me. And when I get into that state, that's basically me projecting into the universe to show me through metaphor in the world around me. And it almost always comes, well, it probably always comes by. I don't always recognize it, but I suspect it always is reflected out there in some form or fashion, and I don't necessarily pick up on it. But that's one form, and the other form I use is the meditation, where I will take something and I will use that as my focal point for the meditation, and then pay attention to what comes in, and then take that and fish within that. Because I found personally that the thing that I initially get is normally just the glossy coating on the outside of the big issue, or the primary, the root cause. So from that point, I'll dig into whatever that issue is and go deeper and deeper and deeper until I'm able to expose it. And they say identifying a problem is the first step to solving it, right? So that's what you have to do, is you got to go in and identify what the root cause is. And then from there, I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of different tools out there that can help you work through any problem that you have. Any problem. I don't care what it is. There are tools out there that'll help you get through it and get back to a place where you've completely forgiven. You're no longer afraid of that. You are able to move forward, put it behind you, forgiven yourself and whatever the situation was. And that's another big thing is that ability to let go of things once they've been addressed. And I hear people that argue that it keeps coming up, I can't let go of it. Then they haven't dug down to the right spot. That's my personal opinion, is that they just haven't got to that right place yet. And even more so right now, I'm fairly sensitive to energy, and the energy that this planet is putting off right now is freaking chaotic and amazing and magnificent, and it's palatable. It's tangible. I see it in everybody. The place I work at, I work with about 150 other people, and I'm probably the only. I think I'm the only one there that's in the quote unquote woo woo world as far as spirituality and mysticism and outside the box type things. Everybody else there is inside the box. The majority of them are all of the Christian tradition, but even within them, I am seeing the effects of the energies that are here on the planet right now. It's kind of shocking. In some of the cases, I've got guys that have told me flat to my face. He said that they have told me, I'm not going to stand near you because when God strikes you down with lightning for all the blasphemy that you've been spitting out of your mouth, I don't want to be burned. So, and I've had that guy that told me that come up and ask me questions about reincarnation. So, I mean, everybody there knows that, I'm not I'm not a cookie cutter type guy. So, everybody knows that I'm out there a bit. And I like being out there. It's fun. I enjoy the heck out of it. It keeps my brain active. But it's everywhere.
The funny, it's funny. It's like, I guess that's just a common thing because I've been told that multiple times from family members and people around me, and it's just amazing. But those are the same people who will come around and say, you're not that crazy. I used to think you were out of your mind, and now I'm starting to see for myself. But there was something that in the chat room, Justin we didn't address, and that was the meditations. And I want to give out a couple of meditations, personal ones that I do. And one, the most simplest meditation is, and the best place to do it when you start, because you relax very easily, just don't fall asleep in there, is in the bathtub. You set a nice warm bathtub, set incense that you really like, or a candle, a scented candle, whatever, buy one of those bath things, and that'll help you relax, because that's one of the key things to meditation. And then just look at your breathing. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth, or breathe in through your nose, whatever is comfortable. It doesn't matter. And then just pay attention. Another key one that I do is you take a candle and you put it in front of you and have so only the candle's lighting the room, and you stare not at the flame but at the wick, the little cherry part that's turning red. And then you close your eyes and you imagine what it looks like. And then you open them again and you keep doing that. Those are for very, very beginners kind of things. And another thing I would suggest would be go on YouTube, look up some easy like Qigong postures to practice. For me personally, Qigong, I look at it as the weightlifting of spirituality. There's, like in physical exercise, there's different kinds of things. But Qigong, after a while, you feel your hands get hot and stuff like that. And both me and Tom has experienced a lot of things. But back to the manifestation thing really quickly, there was something, I think that was the first year me and you met, Tom. 2010 was it, or 2011? 2010.
What?
It was one time we went to this place called ESETI, and that's where I met Tam. And it was very cloudy overhead, and there was 40, 50 people there, Tom? Oh, no, more than that, right? Do you remember
the first year that we met. Wasn't that 2009? No, I guess it was 2010.
Yeah. So we focused our intention to move the clouds, and we opened this huge circle around the property and the whole place was, clouded over, and we opened this huge circle. And another time I had something like that, and there was no expectations. Again, that's the key thing, is where you mess it up is where you have the expectations. And there was another time I was doing a catering job, and this is when I was living in New York, and I was on my way to a catering job, and I'm wearing my monkey suit, and I didn't want it to get soaked. So I just kept breathing in and breathing out the top of my head, slow down. And then kept doing that, slow down. And the rain slowed down. Now, was it a coincidence, synchronicity? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is, something manifested at the right time. But I had no expectations. Again, that's the key thing. And, you know, the first thing a lot of us would say is like, okay, $1 million. But when you focus on something like that, the $1 million, then there's a lot of expectations. Because what do you want those $1 million for? And then when you get the key, okay, I want the $1 million so I can live a comfortable life. Well, you don't need $1 million. I want to travel around the world. Well, you don't need $1 million. You know, so my point is, when you put something out, make sure it's something that you really need, because yes, the $1 million would be nice, but
see, Ramon, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you.
Go ahead.
Because you said the word, you make sure it's something that you really need. And I fully disagree with that. I think the whole manifestation comes in every shape and form. And if it's something you want, a desire of your heart, it does not have to be a need. It can be something that you can manifest on this planet.
Yeah, but when it's something you want, when there's that want, like I want a Porsche, you don't need the Porsche, and your ego is attached to it, because the reason why you want that Porsche is because it's nice, it's fast, it might attract girls.
See, you're talking about you're limiting this to material things. Okay, manifestation comes in a lot of forms.
It does, but I'm talking about material things because the first thing people want to manifest is something material. That's the majority of people. When they're getting into this, the first thing they think about is something material. Now, if you're talking about your health, spiritual growth, then already you're beyond the ego. You're not thinking about that. So all those things don't matter, because you're already moved beyond, because you want something more that's more important, and that's something you need. You need good health. You need spiritual growth. But if we're talking about on the material thing, on the material plane, then those a lot of the nice luxury things, those are wants, those aren't needs. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, make the difference between the two, because if you're talking about spiritual growth, you need that. That's your whole reason for being here. That's not a want, that's a need.
How do you know that's the reason for being here, Ramon?
Well, from my slaps up against the head over the years, that's the only thing I can come up with, because that's the one thing of all the changes I've come through is the spiritual growth. You know, the economic growth and all those other things don't matter, because those things can be taken away instantaneously, but that spiritual growth cannot be taken away. You know, if I come into $1 million, that could be gone tomorrow, or the nice car, or any of those things. And even your health and your life could be gone easily. But that spiritual growth is what's consistent.
Now, see, here's a difference you're going to find between Ramon and I. And you guys have been listening to us for a while. You've probably already picked up on this. I'm more, you know, although I do acknowledge spiritual growth, and I use that term myself, but fundamentally my definition of that is growth of consciousness, and it is not quote unquote spiritual growth, because spiritual, when you that word spiritual, I have problem with labels. Okay.
Well, let's save that for the after the break. We're coming up on break, and we'll continue there. You're listening to Tom and Ramon on the 100th Monkey Radio Show on Truth Frequency Network.
Yeah, Truth Frequency Radio Network too.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Whoops.
You ever wonder why you know who's on the phone before they call? Are you able to sense, see things? You ever wonder what is consciousness? Join me and Tom every week on the 100th Monkey Radio Show so we can explore these different subjects on the True Frequency Radio Network.
Welcome back to the 100th Monkey Radio Show with Tom and Ramon, and we were talking about manifestation.
Yeah, here I was talking away, and my mic's muted.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was.
That's nice.
So I want to respond to that, some stuff there in chat, Ramon. Get my opinion out there. And that's all it is at this point is my opinion, and we all have one. And we know where that goes. So anyways, spiritual growth, the question was, does it equal mastering creation or, mastering or growth of consciousness, et cetera, et cetera? I see myself as a master right now. I am the master of Tom. I stand in my sovereignty. I am the master of the being that has grown to the level that I am. Now, Matt, when I see the word master, and like I said earlier, I have a big problem with labels because labels have a tendency to put something either above or below you. And when I look at something as in mastering creation, that's telling me that it's above me and it's not something that I've already accomplished. And I have accomplished and mastered it to the level that I am right now. And I am so fully sure and knowing of that fact that, all else is, doesn't mean a whole lot for me. But the term can be used and can be used, in a sense accurately. If it's from my perspective, it's taken and looked at with non-judgment, without putting that level attached to it, that above, below, equal to, greater than, less than idea or feeling along with it. I think that's probably the key, especially when I speak with somebody. I really try to have that energetic with the speech that I put out there of equality. Even when I'm stating something to somebody from a position of knowing and to a person who's in a position of not knowing what I'm trying to relay. And I really, really try to put that sense of equality out there to, because I'm aware of what that does and what that can build within a person's psychology, within their own psyche. That sense can build that less than feeling. So, and this was learned through a lot of that splashback. Remember the splashback, Ramon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is learned through a lot of the splashback and me talking with people and having the energy that I'm putting out come back and hit me in the head. And it doesn't really feel very good. And it took me a long time to figure out why I was getting beat up all the time every time I talked to somebody about this stuff. Why was I ended up with all this crap, And it took me a while to work through it, but eventually I think I've got a fairly good grasp of that aspect of communication anyway, Sound. And
yeah. I agree with a lot of the things you say, but as far as the label part, it's if we don't have labels, then we can't even have a conversation.
Well, it is useful, but it has to be done.
It has its time and place. I definitely agree.
I think it needs to be seen as, if it's used with that equality attached to it. There's, I don't know. I don't know how to put this across right at the moment. Let me think
the intention behind we're echoing again. Is that you, Tom?
No. Check your player in the chat room.
Oh, make sure that's not on.
Yeah.
But the intention behind no, that's not me. The intention behind what you're saying always is more important, because you can be saying one thing and your intention comes off differently, and that's a big part of the splashback. But as far as the what is spirituality, and Tom did hit a good point. You're already a spiritual being having a human experience, and I'm more than sure that if you've had other different experiences that probably at the moment you can't remember, and I'm speaking of course, reincarnation and of those things. But as far as the labels, one of the things that I've noticed, sometimes I don't know, Tom, have you ever had the experience where you're talking to someone but you're really not talking to them? The words are being energetically exchanged, and in that case there's no labels needed, because the energies are exchanging more than any of the words. You're barely saying anything, but
right. There's much more being said on another level than just the physical voice.
Yeah, but unfortunately in this third level, for me to explain something, I have to use labels, and a lot of the times I have to use what do they call, like parables or metaphors to make you think. And the human language is not great at expressing exactly, because you can say something and it comes off completely wrong, and you're like, wait, you're not even on the right page of what I'm talking about. Or someone jumps in at the wrong time of the conversation and just caught the offensive part. So it also, with that, it also depends on who's listening, because some people are going to get offended no matter what you say. And that's just their thing. They just want to get offended.
This is, you're bringing up something to my mind that I'm seeing right now in the world that is changing about the way we communicate. And this really started manifesting 6 or 8 months ago, and I know we talked about it, Ramon, the empathic abilities that are kicking on for people, that when you're having that conversation with somebody, you are sensing the deeper level of their meanings. That unspoken communication is much more understandable now, and I think that has to do with the time that we're in. You can look out and say it's because we're entering the galactic band or the whatever that cloud is, that cosmic cloud that we're supposed to be passing through, or you can blame it on external energies all you want. This is all an internal process that we're all going through, and what triggers it, who knows? There could be 1,000 different things that is triggering it, but that empathy has been growing and growing and growing with everybody that I know and that I speak with. It's almost to the point where it's even acknowledged through those that don't get into the woo-woo world. You understand what I'm saying there, right, Ramon?
Yeah. No, that's very true. And as far of what spiritual growth is the everyday experience that includes the woo-woo and the non-woo-woo kind of thing. And it's something that I hear, I still haven't, it's not annoying yet to me, but the one way I've heard described by people who I can feel their energy very strongly is when you come to a place where you're in complete harmony and balance and nothing really can affect you. For example, a lot of us who get in, become more sensitive have a hard time. Like, for example, I went to Korea this weekend, And I had a hard time being in shopping areas because I can feel that energy very,
Right.
very good. Like, give me money. And, it's like, do you want this? Do you want this? You said, can you back away from me? So, my wife pointed out to me, it's like, you're always talking about mastering, then that's one thing you need to master and not pull away from it because, and I'm not trying to offend anybody who like move into the country to get away from the city. That's great. And you can learn a lot being in the country, but that's part of the mastering too, is be able to walk in any environment and still hold your own and not lose it.
See, what I see happening when we go into those strange or different environments is that we're taking our energy, especially those of us who are on a conscious path and growing and becoming aware of these things. What's happening when we go into these unfamiliar areas and interact with these unfamiliar people is that we are taking our energetic bubble, our consciousness bubble, and we are sharing our energy with them. They're being affected by just our very presence being there, and that's what this time in history is all about. Well, one of the things that this time in history is all about is that sharing, that 100th monkey, that sharing of energy and coming to finding a common balance between us all. And I think that empathy is probably one of the big things that are going to surface on the planet and affect everybody is oh geez, can you imagine, Ramon, if everybody has their empathic abilities full blown turned on? There's no more lying, no more cheating. You can't lie to somebody if you're feeling their energy saying just the opposite thing. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That would change the world in a day, overnight. That would change the world.
The other thing I've noticed with that is, so for example, there's Master Khan. We've interviewed him before on our website, and being around him. And it's not only me, it happens, I've asked other people and they say the same thing. When you're around certain people whose vibrations are very strong and you can tell their growth is very strong, they bring out in you that, maybe I'm wording this wrong, but like your insecurities, your negative thing.
Right. They stir things up.
Exactly. And you might do that for other people.
Right.
So you can't get offended if someone, off the bat doesn't like you, is because you might be stirring something in them, or they might see something you don't see. So that's, there again, the balance is such a key important thing. And at the moment, it's not complete there for me, but we're working on it.
Well, I like stirring the pot, though. See, I enjoy the hell at this, especially right now at this time in history. I love stirring the pot. I love getting people's brains and going and people thinking and asking questions. I mean, you saw the stickers I put on the back of my truck, right?
Yeah.
The condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. Seek truth and ask questions. I've gotten some amazing responses driving down the road with those on the back of the truck, and that's it. Asking questions, right?
No, I'm reading someone's comment, and there was like, "I hate going to Walmart because of that."
Huh?
And let's see, Tony Kudos. Goes in there to watch The Walking Dead. I'm just reading some of the comments here. It's really, for me, I think that's something that I'm working on it, and that's a very important part, is that I can be in any environment and any situation and still be, but at the same time, I've seen I've done this and I've seen this, which is also very unhealthy, where, let's say, for example, someone does something to anger you. And, the saying goes that it's not you who makes me angry, it's me who makes me angry. But at the same time, when you act like you're, all spiritual and this and that, and then you're holding that in, that's also very unhealthy, and you're not there yet, so you gotta kind of let it out. That doesn't mean you go and beat the crap out of the other person, but you acknowledge that you're angry. You realize that, something's stirring up in you, that anger stirring up. You acknowledge it. You don't ignore it or try to stuff it away because...
or blame it on someone else.
Exactly.
That whole victim mentality is that's old school, I think.
Yeah.
When I say old school, I mean that has to go in the world. I mean that victim mentality has to be stored away in our memory and as an experience that we've all had and let go.
Yeah. I remember I had a dream once where there was I won't go into the story behind it, but there was this person that we've had like a really bad time with each other for a long time, and in the dream I was like, man, it's been 20 years, can we get over this? And then he had not a ruler, a measuring tape, and I'm holding to the end of the measuring tape, and when I let go of the measuring tape, he floated away. And that was just, how much more clear can you get? Let go of it.
Yeah, yeah.
At least from my end of it, let go of it. I can't do that for
So
him.
what'd you see that what'd you see that measuring tape as?
The line that holds us together, that holds that
yeah, but did you see that measuring tape as a certain idea or something within yourself? Or did you just see it as something that was tying you together?
I saw it as both. Something that was tying us together, but the idea that we have issues with each other, And
see, when you said measuring tape, first thing popped into my head was judgment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a big part of it, too.
Yeah.
Wow, these 2 hours has flown by, Tom.
I guess they have.
I'm looking at the time, and we're down to, the last 9 minutes here. Well, if you guys still want to call in, you still have a few minutes to call in. So 213-233-3998, and toll-free number is 888-832-2027. Some of you guys are making great comments on the chat room. Please call in. We would love to talk to you guys. So, yeah, here's something Tony Kudo said. Misdirected anger is self-destructive. Yes, it is. It kind of reminds me of that old Chinese saying, holding resentment towards your enemy is like drinking poison. And I've seen that destroy people completely. Like, it really gets into your health.
That falls into my splashback category.
Yeah.
That if it's misdirected, then it'll come back. Definitely come back.
Yeah. So, Tom, in these last few minutes, we didn't really get so woo-woo out there. We were more philosophical. What about your woo experience? UFOs, ghost?
Oh. Well, let's see. Which one? Let's see. How about, okay, here's, I'll talk about that, that one I saw in January last year. The one where I was over at a friend of mine's house out in the sticks. I mean, this is Western Washington, out in the sticks, January. It's about 10 degrees, 15 degrees outside, just bitter cold, but crystal clear skies. It was gorgeous. So I ran out to the truck to get a CD and looked up at the sky, and I was like, oh my God, Pam's got to come out and see this. So I went in and grabbed her and said, you got to come out here and see this, Pam. It is gorgeous. And we walked out, and I was standing there looking at the sky, and I said, the only thing to make this better is if you guys had come over and show me one of your ships right now. And as soon as I got done saying that, it was a cylinder with kind of a vector on the front of it, and it was glowing. It was just solid white. It came over the top of the hill, and it couldn't have been more than a mile away. And that thing was only going, couldn't have been going more than 100 miles an hour for the distance that it traveled. And it was from hill to hill, it took about 5 minutes. And I was just, my jaw dropped open. I had a camera 10 feet in front of me in my truck, but I'm sitting there staring at it. I'm getting blasted by some interesting energy. And it was like, you asked for it, you got it, Toyota type thing. Quite interesting. That one took every shadow of doubt out of my mind. I mean, I'd seen all sorts of the lights in the sky and the multicolored lights, and that stuff we see over at ECETI. But as far as seeing the shape, a shaped craft that's close enough to really identify, that was it. So I know they're out there, and for some reason they don't make themselves completely known to society yet. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's coming, Ramon?
We're having it on a personal thing, so for me and you, it's already here.
Yeah, but not really. It's not here yet, because, seeing them at a mile away is much different than having one of them stand in front of you and having a tea,
Yeah, we did. At least consciously I haven't done that, but I had the one experience where I, go out. I have like a small, I don't really call it a backyard, but a little area where we can hang our clothes. Here in Japan, everybody hangs their clothes outside. So I went out there at night to look at the stars, and I had this thing where all of a sudden my eyes turned into like night vision, and with the greenish colors, and I saw this sphere, this metal ball in the air, and it had to be, it's so hard to, at least 100 feet, or between 50 and 100 feet. That's not 100%, but that only lasted several seconds. So last night I was actually talking to our friend Pam, and she was telling me that she's had that experience, and that you can like self-induce that. And what she was saying is, if you stare out, you're not staring at anything in particular, and all you're thinking is expansion, and all you think about is expanding the width of your vision without moving your head or moving your eyes. Just keep staring out, and just keep staring. And she said it will like come on and off, and then she'll be able to see things. And I've done something similar to that, where I'm just staring out, and I could start seeing energy patterns of reality. And she was saying how she can see like even smaller atoms and many things. So that makes me wonder about the whole thing with I think the guy's name was Adam, the guy back in Greece who said that reality was made of these small little particles things. You know what I'm talking about, Tom?
No.
Obviously you didn't pay attention in school. But anyway, our eyes can see a lot more than what we're told, because if you think about the whole thing with science, if you take a film strip and take it down from California all the way to Alaska, that is around light. That's what light is. Visible light, what we see, is about 2 inches. That means we're not seeing anything at all. We have complete blinders on. So I'll leave it at that, because we're down to the last 2 minutes. And
yeah, well, you completely lost me there, Ramona.
Did I? Okay, I'll say again really quickly because we only have a few minutes.
Oh,
so, I'm talking about vision and what we see. So, and that includes all the.
Well, I understand the visible spectrum and all that stuff, but what we are able to see with our eyes is just such a very small sliver of the full spectrum of light. I fully understand that, and what
was the part I lost you?
That whole, I don't know, the 2 inches. What was this 2 inches thing?
Oh no! If you take a film strip, like
you're referring to the film.
Yeah, and then you
gotcha.
extend it down across the United States on the West Coast. The amount you're able to see is only 2 inches.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's what I mean by the sliver.
Gotcha.
You just said it in English. That's all. So anyway, we're down to the last 55 seconds. So you can go to our website www.thehundredthmonkeyradio.com. You can catch us on Facebook. Just put in thehundredthmonkeyradio.com, or you can Facebook Tom at Tom Kapperman. You can also catch his YouTubes. And what was your YouTube channel again?
It's Tau 2299. But just click on the link on the website; it'll get you there. And Tony Kudos just made a comment that I have to put out here on the air before we get out of here. The human form is the most limiting form you will ever know. And Tony, besides a rock, I think you're right on target, buddy. Although a rock might be able to see more. The condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
Condition of the world today, I can't help but get down on